Sushi's origins are anything but Japanese. Sushi started as a way to save fish from rotting. The Japanese didn't invent it. Norway spent a decade convincing Japan to eat salmon raw, and Americans turned it inside out to hide the seaweed. 2,000 years ago in China, people had a problem. They needed to keep fish fresh without refrigerators. Their solution was to pack it in fermented rice and salt. After months of fermentation, they'd unwrap their fish, throw away the rice, and eat their preserved catch. This was the world's first sushi, though no one would recognize it today. The method traveled slowly. It reached Japan around the 8th century. For hundreds of years, the Japanese made it the same way, fish buried in rice for months. But around the 1500s, they discovered something interesting. Adding vinegar to the rice sped up the fermentation. Now they only needed a few hours instead of months. Vinegar gave sushi its name. Sushi literally means vinegared rice. The game really changed in the 1820s. A smart chef named Hanaya Yohei had an idea. Why wait for fermentation at all? He started putting fresh fish on vinegared rice. This was the birth of modern nigiri sushi. The rice wasn't waste anymore. It became half the meal. But some of sushi's most famous forms have surprising origins. Take salmon sushi. Japanese people wouldn't touch raw ocean salmon until the 1990s. They only ate local river salmon raw. Ocean salmon had too many parasites. Then Norway stepped in. They had perfected farming Atlantic salmon. No parasites, perfect texture, cheaper than tuna. It took them years of marketing, but they finally convinced Japan. Now salmon is one of Japan's favorite sushi toppings. Then there was the California roll. That was created in Vancouver in the 1970s. Chef Hidekazu Tojo was watching his American customers. Traditional sushi rolls showed their black seaweed wrapper on the outside. Americans found this off-putting, so he flipped the roll inside out, hiding the seaweed under rice. He filled it with cooked crab and avocado instead of raw fish. It was sushi training wheels. Sushi's journey to America is its own story. First came small restaurants in Japanese neighborhoods in the 1950s. Then everything changed in 1966 when Kawafuku opened in Los Angeles. It was the first sushi bar to succeed with American customers. The rest is history. Then there's the teppanyaki tale. In 1964, a guy named Rocky Aoki had an idea. He opened something called Benihana. Theatrical chefs would flip shrimp and crack jokes. Americans loved it. They weren't ready for raw fish yet, but they were ready for dinner and a show. The flying knives and onion volcanoes paved the way. By the time the 1980s rolled around, Americans were finally ready for actual sushi.